Financial Argument. Follow us on YouTube.
Now today we see the market, it's down a little bit, it's been up a little bit, it's been down a little bit, and we see it fluctuating. We're seeing chaos in the market. And we have to remember, the Federal Reserve, they push in their free money into the market to prop it up. This is a manipulated market because if you look at all the corporations, the sales, the revenue, the profits, everything that's going on does not support what the market is doing right now. Even with Trump saying that he's bringing back jobs, bringing back manufacturing jobs, it still doesn't support the market being at 20,000 points, just like it didn't support the market back in 2008 when it was around 14,000 points, and all of a sudden it just came crashing down. But what we're seeing leading up to the market coming down is that behind the scenes, behind this gauge that the Fed uses and a lot of individuals use to gauge how the economy is doing, we can see behind the scenes that things are rapidly deteriorating. And we've been looking at many different economic indicators, and we've been tracking them day after day, week after week, year after year, to show how the Fed, how a central banker pumps up a market, makes everyone believe that we're in a recovery, makes everyone believe that everything is fine, makes everyone believe that they fixed the problem, and we're going to track how they bring it down. And we're going to show how long it takes. And everyone out there saying, well, I haven't seen a collapse yet. What are you going to say when the collapse hits? Because these same exact people back in 2006, the same people in 2007 who said, hey, all you people saying that the credit market's going to freeze up and the real estate market's going to crash, I haven't seen it yet. And all of a sudden it crashed in 2008. Well, all those people scurried away and we never heard from them again until now. But the whole point of this is to show everyone how central bankers, how they pump it up, and while they're pumping it up, how the economy in the background deteriorates and falls apart until we get to that point where the system comes down. And then we show what they're going to do as the system comes down, how bad it's going to get, and what they need to do to pump it back up again, and how they look like heroes when they say, don't worry, we're going to step in with QE. That's what this is all about. And we've been tracking this, and we've been seeing the economy fall apart quicker and quicker as we approach the point in time when the whole thing's going to come down. I mean, we've been looking at manipulated data, we've been looking at manipulated information, and we know it's manipulated because when we put the entire puzzle together, we can see it makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, think about it. Prior to Trump being elected, initial jobless claims, well, that has just kept on falling until like 1973 lows, while retail stores were closing left and right. The Restaurant Performance Index was dropping at the same time. Traffic was drying up. Where traffic to home sales, well, to home sales were drying up. Mortgage applications were declining. Mortgage rates were moving up. GDP went from 2% to 1.8% to 0.9%, and that is a manipulated number. And when we look at all this, we can see that this is how they do it. We want to understand what they do. A lot of people, this is going to be a big surprise to them. They're going to wake up one morning and say, wait a minute, the market just came down, just like in 2008. People thought everything was fine. And then all of a sudden, everything just came crashing down. People that I know that had 1, 2, 3, 4 homes that they were renting out that they purchased, it came to an end. They couldn't support those anymore because they were riding the gravy train, and it all came to a screeching halt. The same thing's going to happen now, but it's going to be much worse. We're already seeing the initial jobless claims. Well, they were unchanged since February of 2016, and after today, they moved up 18,000 unemployment claims. So the last 3 weeks have seen a 15% surge in claims. This is the biggest spike since May 2016. Now, what happened here? Did anything change? Well, yeah, the economy's getting worse. It's always been getting worse. We've been seeing the decline in the economy for quite a while. What about all these jobs coming back? I guess not. What's happening is the manipulation is starting to unravel right now, and we're starting to see the real economic indicators come through. We talked about the art bubble a couple reports back, and we're seeing that this is worsening right now. Over just the past couple of days, there have been a litany of negative economic data points, including the crashing bank loan creation, the surging auto loan delinquencies, continuous deterioration on the retail sector, the recalculation of GDP, and we can see that, well, the mega wealthy folks, they're really not affected by this. They can skim by all of this. But what we're seeing right now is that the money, their large sums of money that they've been putting into art, well, that is now affected, because what we're seeing is that suddenly the wealthy, well, they're taking a breather from purchasing multi-million-dollar works of fine art, which have collapsed to the levels not recorded since 2009. Sales of art and antiques dropped around 11% to about $56.6 billion, according to a report released on Wednesday by UBS. The decline, on top of a 7% slide in 2015, wipes out the gains seen in 2013-2014, when sales reached an all-time high of $68.2 billion. And we're starting to see that this is getting worse. Auction sales declined by 26%. Sales of post-war and contemporary works at auction fell 18%. The high end of the auction market, where prices for artwork exceeded $1 million, fell 34%. Trophies priced at more than $10 million saw the biggest decline, 53%. The art bubble is popping. Now, the real estate market, we've been talking about this for quite a while, and we're seeing that even though they're trying to keep the bubble inflated, and this is how the central bankers work the system. They inflate the real estate bubble. The real estate bubble has links into the entire economy, and they need this bubble blown up. And what's very interesting about all of this is that we have pending home sales declining. We have existing home sales declining. We have mortgage applications declining. We have mortgage rates moving up, but new home sales, they're increasing? That doesn't make sense. Something's wrong. Someone's lying once again. And it looks like they play with this economic data to convince you that things are going well. We know that construction is declining. We know that Toll Brothers, Lennar, all of them have been seeing a decrease in foot traffic. So when we look at this, we can see that everything else is declining except new home sales, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And if we really look at it, new home sales declined recently, and it looks like all they do is they keep bobbing the numbers up and down. But when we look at the hard data, when we look at what's really going on, we can see that this is no way possibly true. Just like they're telling us that retail is declining because of online sales, and online sales is only 1/10 of retail. It makes no sense. But what we're seeing is that the home ownership rate in the United States economy currently stands at one of the lowest levels since the 1960s. It will continue to decline, pushing us closer to this collapse scenario. According to a survey published by the Employee Benefit Research Institute, 6 in 10 Americans feel they won't have enough money for long-term health care. The 2017 Retirement Confidence Survey, many workers lack retirement confidence and feel stressed. We know that food stamps, well, that has been on the rise. There's about 42.96 million people on food stamps. And to put this in some perspective, the number of people on food stamps in the U.S. is similar to the size of Argentina's population. Now, the Fed's Rosengren, he is worried right now about the commercial and residential real estate bubble. Of course, Janet Yellen is saying that she sees no bubbles, but we know there are bubbles here. We can see they pumped them up. Actually, they said there were no bubbles back in 2008 also. Actually, they told us they weren't even forecasting a recession in the year that we had a recession start. Now, Rosengren says back in 2008, he says that the root cause of the financial crisis was a significant decline in collateral values of residential and commercial real estate, and exposure across the banking system that are correlated and sizable. Real estate becomes a trigger for a financial crisis because of its high leverage. For banks, these properties are collateral. When property values tank, the collateral is impaired, defaults rise. Then broader problems spread into the economy. Property owners experience a reduction in income. Homeowners see their paper wealth evaporate and financial stress rises. At some point, banks begin to fail. So right now, financial institutions hold about $3.8 trillion of CRE loans, including multifamily residential and about $10.3 trillion of home mortgages. So this is a $14 trillion problem. What does this mean? This means that this $14 trillion of real estate debt is why real estate can trigger a financial crisis, and why real estate bubbles, when they implode, are so detrimental. And this is the reason why the Fed has been pumping up the real estate bubble, because they understand what happens when real estate and the value of homes come down. How did they do this? Very easy. Any foreclosures on the market, they keep them off the market. The banks hold on to them. People are allowed to live in them. It keeps houses off the market, which allows prices to rise. The Fed steps in, buys up all the toxic real estate. They tell you that, oh wait, the housing market is very tight. There's not a lot of houses on the market right now. Prices start to move up. They bring in hedge funds, investment companies, foreign investors. They pay cash. They go to 20 different cities and they start buying homes in tracts of 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 homes. They don't rent them out. They hold on to them, which makes the market pricier. Things go up. And this is how they were able to get the collaterals of these homes to move up. They created a bubble, and they need it inflated, because if it comes down or prices come down, the whole entire system collapses. And this is what they're so worried about. And with rates increasing right now, with mortgage applications declining, with prices coming down faster and faster, the Fed realizes that it's only a matter of time before this comes down. And this feeds into the construction industry, it feeds into the banks, it feeds into everything. And this is why they're so nervous about the real estate market. And it appears the real estate bubble is once again putting financial stability at risk. But the Fed, which caused this bubble with QE, with low rates, with hedge funds, foreign investors, free money, well, they're nudging the interest rates up right now, and they're trying to equalize what's happening, but they're not going to be able to do it. We're seeing that things are now declining. They're going to end up in free fall, and we're going to have the same exact thing that we saw back in 2008. They're doing the same exact thing, expecting a different result. So we're going to see this major collapse, and when the real estate market goes, well, it's going to be absolutely horrific. It's going to be 10 times worse than what it was back in 2008, because there's still a lot of people out there that have never recovered. A lot of people have lost their homes. A lot of the homes that are out there right now are completely owned by hedge funds, investment companies. People don't even own them.